today's video, I do art and tests based on the 4 Van Gogh watercolors I recently got when I was placing an art order in order to get the free shipping because I needed to get more dip pens to properly use all my ink. Light Oxide Red, PR101, Burnt Umber, PBR7, Cobalt Blue Ultramarine, PB29 and PW6, Indigo, PB15 and PBK6. I'm testing them out as I'm using inappropriate sketchbook paper like I typically do, and this is a Himimiya gouache flat brush. I placed them in half pans and put them on this surface with a magnet on the bottom that I'm going to be putting in a different palette later. And I'm doing a second layer here just to darken things up to see what's possible. I'm going to make a custom artwork below using only these 4 colors. The other thing I'm testing out are these little small brushes. I'm going to use 3 of the new brushes during this painting process, as well as in generally testing them all out. I needed some more very fine point brushes and wanted to get a good liner brush, which also helped me reach enough money to get the free shipping. It's far more worth it to get the free shipping at a lot of these online art stores. I'm very happy with the quality of the brushes. Underneath my hand here, the shiny thing is Duralar, which is protecting the page beneath my hand, something I got with my Christmas presents. And I'm testing out some mixes here between the colors, as you can see. I'm using a very fine point brush here. I got a 1x0, a 2x0, and a 3x0. And I'm using one of those here to just paint more of a fine point pattern using some of the colors I already mixed up, testing out how nice and fine and detailed the brush is, which I think is really good. It's nice to have some really fine point good brushes. You need to be a little careful, but watercolor in general doesn't really damage the brushes. Still, over time, they will become a little less pointed through use, so you'll eventually need to get more brushes. I went back later and I used this L square I also recently got on Amazon, which is really helpful as added to my geometric templates, and some of the other geometric templates I purchased on Amazon in the past to help me to make an Art Nouveau style art here. I decided to do something different, and I did base the ideas of what I was doing here on the colors I was limited to. These colors made me think of a nighttime scene with an antelope, and I decided most Art Nouveau pictures in that style are women, and that it would be interesting if I did an anthropomorphic person, but what if I made it a man? And what if I made him not wearing much except just these little pants and some bracers and a little sort of corset around the middle? And what if everything was colored as if it's more seen at night, which explains why there's no yellowish tones, because everything is more blue toned, or at least the way the human eye perceives it, at night. I'm just working out the general ideas. I was sort of doing a little different than the standard, although I really like doing anthros in Art Nouveau style. That's actually something I really enjoy. And now that I have these more geometric templates and I have the L square as well, it should be easier to do so traditionally, although it can be fun to do them digitally as well. I decided I didn't want to record the inking process, so I decided to just skip it here. I did it off screen. Here I'm going in and finally starting the painting. I had to do it in several stages, putting the painting completely aside to let it completely dry. I didn't want things to bleed into each other or to affect the next area, so I had to get each area completely done and then dried. I'm using a makeup brush from the dollar store here, one of my favorite painting tools. I didn't just limit myself to those tiny brushes, that would be unreasonable and not easy to make an artwork. Now I'm using my larger pony hair brush that I got from Curry's Art Supplies quite a while ago. And I'm doing some of the basic layers. I'm making sure none of the colors here border or touch any other colors to try to avoid bleeding. I didn't follow that rule with the hooves, and there was some bleeding and fading into the color above, which I didn't particularly like, so I was more careful moving forward with the rest of the painting. I'm trying to get good tonal contrast and contrast of colors. I'm trying to get it to look natural, but also more of an Art Nouveau style, so not too rendered three-dimensionally. And I'm also trying to get things to work overall as an art piece, so that the composition and the contrast of the different elements works overall. He's some sort of spellcaster, although I don't have any particular specifics about him. He clearly is conjuring forth some sort of magic, some sort of blue magic in his hand. I'm going to paint it in blue later. I really did enjoy mixing the indigo and the burnt umber. Sometimes trying out different limited color palettes and limiting yourself and working with that is a really good way of learning how to mix colors, as well as learning what you like about the colors you have and how to use them. If you never do challenges with limited colors and the colors you have, it's harder to learn about them. I'm finding doing a lot of tests, color mixing, swatches, and just art challenges with limited colors is really fun. It's inspiring, but it's also a good way of learning about the colors and art supplies you have, so that later when you want to do another or more finished artwork, you understand the colors you have and how to use them better. Here, after letting it fully dry and coming back, I decided to use the larger hairbrush in order to pre-wet the whole area. I intentionally put a few darker spots in the quote-unquote wrong spot and then went over everything, fading down. I wanted some intentional watercolor looking patchiness rather than having an entirely smooth, unnatural, almost gradient. Well, it's not that gradients are unnatural, it's just I wanted it to look like it was watercolor, if that makes any sense. As you can see, I'm rinsing out the brush more to get that faded effect till there's almost just water on it to pull it down there. I decided I wanted to put a shadow here, which is primarily the indigo with a bit of the light oxide red to make more of a black, because they're sort of much more opposite. Here I'm filling in these sections with indigo, as well as mixing in burnt umber and light oxide red to make different shades of black. More of a brownish hue in with the black on the bottom there, and more of a bluish black on the top. After letting it dry again, I'm coming back in and doing some of the more fine details. The eyebrow, the color in the eye, the bracers, and several other details around. I'm just basically finishing the entire painting off here and trying not to overwork it. I actually do want the white of the page and a more simplified and semi-flat looking look, but I do want some shading and three-dimensionality to it. Here I'm just going over everything, adding darker shadows as well, watering it down a bit so that the shadows aren't too dark, but putting some form and definition all over the place with a bit of a bluish shadow. Indigo and cobalt blue, watered down, and then I'm going over the horns again to darken them. Just some final touches by adding more shading in different spots along the way, and finalizing all the details. I realized I wanted to test the liner brush, so I made a bit of different depths of shading for washes, so more dark or more light, and made some line art added around here using the liner brush in order to add more to the patterning and in order to test the liner brush out, as I realized I wanted to do that in this artwork. And here's a final look at the finished piece. Once again, that's all for this video. If you like my videos, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to all notifications so you will know when a new video comes up. I aim for new videos every Wednesday, but sometimes life happens and things are delayed. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you with another one very soon.